What's that alarm going off for? Oh yeah, that's right. That means today's topic is another controversial opinion by me. Let's ruffle some feathers once more.
Let's go!
OG Minecraft, a true marvel of video game design, is the classic look and feel of the game that most veterans of the game hold near and dear to their hearts. Well, not anymore! I am here to shatter all the images you used to have about old Minecraft and explain to you why they suck balls. Let me just set a quick point by what I mean when I say old Minecraft. I'm specifically going to be talking about the alpha and beta versions of the game. Anything prior, for example the InfDev and classic versions, are so irrelevant and barren that it will be both an insult to both myself and to them if I were to unfairly critique them next to these more developed versions. Enough rambling. Time to earn some dislikes. Minecraft Alpha and Beta are safely hidden under a very thick coat of nostalgia that shields them from almost every kind of criticism and mistakes. These versions, in fact, lack a substantial amount of stuff that we take for granted in our modern day version of the game that just have a bunch more quality of life things. Stuff like pressing shift to instantly move stuff in your inventory, or being able to press and drag items when you are crafting for equal distribution. For all of this foresight in the future of Minecraft, Notch didn't really like to do stuff the easy way, or any convenient way in general. I gotta give props to the developers for at least attempting to fill the game with as much stuff as possible in as short of a time as possible. If I recall correctly, updates were very common back then, and I think that I prefer having little bits and strings added for some time rather than all at once in a mega update like the modern ones. But they still didn't add enough and it feels like a wasteland. Something that really bugs me is I think that beds were only added in like beta 1.3. The day-night cycle has been a staple for Minecraft since alpha, I think, and only in beta did they have the idea that maybe you should be able to skip this annoying part of the early game. The Never was a great addition that added an entirely new dimension to enjoy. I mean, this is the old Never we're talking about, so take that fact with a little bit of salt. Even though it was great, it didn't really do anything to the overworld itself except add a 2x3 portal which you couldn't change the shape of until much later on. Despite its nostalgic effect, these versions really do look like an eyesore to the average player. Sure, it looks like a work of art to us who actually experienced it when it was the newest Minecraft had to offer, but you can't change my opinion that it looks ass. Like, be honest with me, you cannot argue that those lime-looking ass leaves look anything remotely good. Beta fixes them to a certain point, but they still do look kinda lifeless. This is one of those changes I'm glad happened, because the old color palette made the game feel a lot more dead and empty. That's talking about the leaves themselves. I didn't even mention the fact that there's only one type of wood. Nowadays I'm not even sure how many wood types we have. I just know there's a lot and that more variety is excellent to have. Hell, these alpha leaves when ported to the newer versions look much more interesting because they just turn into every other leaf version, which makes them uniquely cool trees. You couldn't even rotate stairs when they were initially added. Like, who the fuck fought over at Mojang that it was a good idea to implement a highly versatile block like stairs and not have the common courtesy to make it able to change sides and rotate it? I would especially like to say that some of the older textures on the block straight up looked like ass. I cannot fathom how they thought that this cobblestone sprite looked okay. It just doesn't. There's way too much contrast. Slabs couldn't be placed at only the top half of the block. One could argue that Minecraft didn't really have an end goal to achieve before, thus making it more like a true sandbox game. But I think the point is irrelevant because no matter how corporate or how one style of playing gets popular, nobody is forcing you to play the game a certain way. If you choose to, you never have to defeat the Ender Dragon. You never have to enter the Never, or make a full Netherite beacon. But those are optional challenges that make the game much more interesting. I will say that old Minecraft has its charms, however. It forces you to be much more creative with your limited block palette, for example the lack of wood varieties, and thus the builds that people manage to achieve in this time are, in my opinion, much more impressive than a lot of modern day builds. The final nail in the coffin in the old Minecraft being slightly overrated is that veteran players use it to discredit anything new Minecraft produces. I mean, sure, in some aspects they can be on the right side. For example, when stuff like moderation or the B update are criticized for not offering something valuable, I see nothing wrong with that. But when an update is criticized for being not Minecrafty, I'm just left scratching my head in disbelief. What, do you want your beloved game to fall into obscurity? I think a major factor to this is the love for the familiarity that older players developed with the older versions. For example, I didn't really like the Caves and Cliffs update that much when it was released because I thought the newly generated terrain wasn't Minecrafty enough. But the more they stood around, the more I grew close to them, and now I don't mind them. I value both types of terrain equally for different aspects. I think most people share that initial fear with me. The fear of your beloved block game going wrong because of a random update.